Capricorn rising. How you doing, Capricorn? This is your reading for the Taurus full moon that happened on the 15th or 16th of November, depending on where you live. I am recording this after the event, but I work with 6-month cycles, so the messages that come through in these readings will serve you leading up to the Taurus new moon next year. Hello and welcome. My name's Chloe. I work with card divination, astrology, and as you just heard, I channel multi-dimensional energies through my body, both in the form of physical, there we go, and vocal light language. So there's going to be some hand movements. You're going to be hearing some beautiful vocal light language as well throughout the reading. And all of this brings in healing, attunement, and activation codes to the messages that come through. So I read for the rising signs. So for those of you who don't have Capricorn in the first house, look to the house that it does fall in your natal chart. Look to the themes of that house, and you want to apply those themes along with all the other meaning you've got going on in the sign of Capricorn to the messages that come through, because it will be as if that Capricorn energy, wherever it falls in your natal chart, has now energetically moved to the first house. So when I talk about the astrology for the rising sign, when I talked about the astrology for the rising sign, it will still link in, but you'll just have to add on your own natal chart meaning on top of it. So, Capricorn rising, where was this full moon happening for you? Well, it was happening in your 5th house, your house of creation, the house of joy. And this is all about creation energy, how you create your pleasure, your joy, your amusement, your games, children, both literal and figurative children, such as your inner child, and creative things you birth into the world. And romance and dating. It's all about love. It's, Venus's favorite place to be, and you happen to have one of the Venusian signs in the 5th house, which is Taurus, ruled by Venus. So this full moon will have been elevating so full moons, they represent a completion energy, right? So they're closing out of something, a big illumination, like a culmination of what you've been working, all coming together. And so often this can often be, okay, let me talk about the tarot. I'm pulling cards for 4 different piles. Let's bring this a little bit further down. 4 different piles. The first pile is more of like, what's the shadow work that's closed out? What's the challenge that's closed out? What's the difficulty, the deeper, more challenging energy you've been working with over the last 6 months since the Taurus full new moon? What's being closed out by that full moon? Pile 2 is what's being integrated. What is all the work that you've been doing, the elevation and the integration, what's being completed and being locked in with this full moon. And pile 3 is the download. So I said at the beginning, I work with 6-month cycles. And even though a full moon does represent a closing out of a cycle, cycles never end, guys. It just opens up space for the next part of the cycle, which is everything that we've learned, the wisdom that we've got, the illumination coming in, being embedded and activated, and then with that comes an elevation, comes a new activation, a new download, which we then work with over till the Taurus new moon. So that's going to be pile 3. What is the download? What is the activation? Now, I break down all of the astrology of this moon in way more detail in the collective reading. And so talk about how all the celestial bodies are talking to each other at the exact moment of the moon, and how that forms an energetic blueprint that we're then working with over the next 6 months. So if you want a deeper understanding of what's showing up here, pause this video, go watch the collective reading and come back to this, because it'll just give you a stronger understanding. Okay, what's the intention of what this moon's all about? And then you can apply it to the good, the bad, the beautiful and the ugly, the chaos, the clear, in things happening in your life, of like pulling it back to the root intention, which then can be applied to many different situations. I also pulled collective tarot as well, and channeled messages come through in that reading. So that third part, as I said, what's the download? And then the fourth part, how to amplify that energy, how to work with it. So it's going to be like little tools and tricks to help work with that energy. So what's going on with this moon? As I said, I'm recording it after the event. Felt like I had a big nervous system upgrade. Lots of lovely synchronicities happening, which I'll talk about in relationship to later on in the astrology. So this is a Taurus moon. It's the moon is exalted in Taurus. It's its favorite place to be in, because rather than the worry and the fears that the moon can have, it's in the fixed earth sign of Venus, right? So Venus is facilitating the moon's needs, right? The moon represents your emotional body, your intuition, your how you give and receive nourishment, as well as your needs and whether they're being met or not. So that's where the anxiety can come up with the moon. Whereas in Taurus, Venus is like, hey babe, how you doing? What do you want? What feels good? Let me make you feel good. So we have this sort of very stabilizing energy, this fixed earth, the slowest sign in the zodiac. Very grounded, embodied. It's the personal connection to the earth. It's your physical senses. It's the vessel. It's how it operates and how it interacts with the world. And it was conjunct Uranus and a fixed star called Algol. Now, there's a particular geopolitical situation that happened with Algol and Uranus and Mars a little while ago. And I talk about that in the collective reading. It's just such a great example about astrology of how much we are influenced by the energies. It's quite wild. Well, Algol is linked into Medusa. And this is, there's the energy around it of losing your head, of off with your head. Right? A sense of disconnection. As well as distorted narratives, because obviously Medusa was deemed to be this horrendous monster, but there are certain reasons why she ended up that way. So there's a sense of pulling back the veil over distorted narratives. And Uranus is the path clearer, the breaker of chains. It wants you to be independent in the soul's path that you walk on. And it'll come and shake up your life if you're not able to do that yourself, right? It can be very sudden shifts and changes happening, very sort of eureka moments. It's very inventive energy. It's one of the outer planets, so it's more connected to the galactic energy beyond our solar system, and then bringing that into our structures here on the 3D planet. Yeah, as I said, very sudden eureka moments, very inventive, breaking outside of tradition. And a real sort of a sense of confidence within yourself, a sense of independence, and a path clearer. So combined with the moon and Algol, what the major theme came through for me with this is a releasing of limiting beliefs in the head. Right, the busy mind, the rational expectation of things gonna turn out in the same way that they have before, that have blocked that have blocked our capacity to be fully embodied in our physical body and appreciate the abundance of our existence, right? So it's a very difficult thing for us to access at the moment because of everything that's going on in the world. It just feels, for various reasons, out of reach sometimes. So it's the constructs, the perspectives in the head, Algol, of losing those, of releasing them and pulling back the veil over the distortions of perspectives of why the cause and effect of something. Why was Medusa a monster? What happened to her to get her to that place? And it's allowing more empathy and compassion for our experiences, that's then freeing up a lot of the control and the conflict in the mind that blocks the body from genuinely feeling like, I am here, I'm incarnate here, and this is where I'm supposed to be, right? So you have this in your 5th house of your creation energy, right? How do you create in the world? How do you find joy and pleasure? Pleasure doesn't just have to be about romance, right? We're very sort of honed in on that because it's a very evolutionary process for us to breed, and so we've got a fixation on it. But it's in every area of your life, right? How do you create? How do you find that joy? How do you find that pleasure? You know, in terms of the children, it can be right, let's list down the things of what could have come to a close with that full moon, right? Limiting beliefs around what your creation energy looks like and how it feels to you, you know, distorted pleasure principles and how you find your joy based on trauma responses and limiting beliefs that then see addiction, right? The inner child is in the 5th, and so often that inner child can lead to addiction through certain situations in your early years where you're sort of prioritizing pleasure in a way that actually doesn't serve you, right? And so this is really getting back into an alignment with your body. There may be some wounds around the physical vessel. Limiting beliefs internally around relationships, like romantic relationships as well as relationships with children. So I can see a really elevation of a healthier relationship with your inner child, a liberating energy around romance and dating that's allowing you to embody more of your creation energy rather than externalizing it. You know, on a really simple level that you can apply in lots of different ways with that Uranian energy of like being confident in your desires, right? That maybe others you may have like some really deep-rooted unknown programming that's blocking you from really just allowing yourself to enjoy what you enjoy rather than what other people enjoy, because of that Uranian energy as very, very independent of society, right? It can be very contrary in its nature. Now, right, so not only was it conjunct. Woo! Did you see that fly out? Where did you go, my loves? Don't know what they are, but there they are. Now I'm going to be pulling, get these a bit neater. I'm going to be pulling a couple of cards on Uranus itself, like what is Uranus up to, and a couple of cards on what Saturn's doing. Oh, we had some others flip over. Okay. Oh, and another one. What was I saying? Yeah, and what Saturn's up to, because Saturn went direct on the day that this moon was full. Hallelujah! Moving past summertime sadness into activation. I'm going to pull a couple of oracle cards as well from my 2 favorite oracle decks at the moment. So a big sort of illumination around the embodiment of your creation energy, right? Your pleasure, your joy, your you got an extra card from this one. Your interactions with children, your inner child, the children that you work with and children of your own. Just a real elevation of freedom while still feeling the resonance of abundance, right? There's a real sense of a clearing out of being grounded and present, but also being very liberated to go into new pathways. So, right, let's get more into the astrology because all the cards are out now. And so this moon, as I said, conjunct Uranus and Algol. Now the sun is over in Scorpio, and often where the sun is, we get clues of the journey that we've been on, where the vision is, the clarity that reflects the work that we've done over the last 6 months. And that was over in your 11th house of hopes and dreams, friends, groups and alliances, and reaping the benefits from your 10th house. Now your 10th house is about your life purpose. It's also linked into career and visibility and reputation. So having the sun move through, there's a real clarity around the value that you bring to the table, right, in regards to that 10th house. There's a sort of a more awareness of the hopes and dreams unfolding, right, and getting sort of eureka moments and inspiration around the next stages of your hopes and dreams that sort of allows a little balm so you can have some fun, right, over in the 5th house. That can often be 5th house full moon energy. But in terms of sort of the longer term cycle, you've got that sun there in Scorpio really allowing us to see the truth of things in the darkness and really be able to transform a powerhouse fixed energy of bringing some real radical hopes and dreams to the surface. There may be something for some of you around bringing your creative energy into bigger groups that will see a knock-on effect of reaping the benefits from your 10th house, right? So we can link this into sort of work and career energy, not just about fun and amusement and games, of a real capacity to bring your unique creativity to a bigger audience that is going to have just an elevation of an understanding of where you are in your career path or your life path that is allowing more of yourself to come through, and a more of a embodied resonance in your creative energy that's allowing you to see more clearly in that darkness the truth of how you are able to hope and dream beyond old limitations. Now the sun and the moon are making harmonious aspects to Neptune and Pluto, Neptune in Pisces and Pluto and Ceres in Capricorn. Now, if you want a real deep dive on this moon, an even more deeper dive, if you've already done the collective reading, pause. I should have said this at the beginning, really. Go watch the Pluto in Capricorn Oracle reading. All the planets have their own playlists. It's quite easy to find. Even though Pluto's moving into Aquarius on the 19th of November, that transit where both Pluto, Uranus and Neptune were all retrograde in yin signs, making harmonious aspects to each other, was like the final integration into a massive shift in the collective consciousness. It's what we're living in, wild times, guys. And this energy that I'll sum up, but I go into it in more detail in that oracle reading, is locked into this full moon. And it was annoying because I only clocked it when I was doing the Gemini reading, that it forms what's called a cradle in terms of the aspects. So we've got the opposition between the sun and the moon. We have Neptune here making a sextile, Pluto and Ceres here, sextile there, trine there, and it forms what's called a cradle. So this is a rebirth. I'm kind of annoyed I missed it. I think the essence came through in the collective reading anyway, but it's one of those things you're like, no. So this is the energy that I'm talking about is locked in to this moon, and with the added influence of the scorpionic vibe, which I'm here for. So Pluto is reorientating and transforming our rooted power, our magnetism, to the truth of reality that is going to allow us to build in the long term, Capricorn energy, in alignment with the ecosystems of the earth and the resources of the ancestors and the tradition. Lol. And Pluto, I'll come back to Ceres in a second. I'll just sum up the Pluto, Neptune, Uranus energy, and that's imprinted on this vibe. Pluto's sextiling Neptune, and Neptune is retrograde at the moment, and for me that is very much pulling back the veil that we live we do not live in a magical reality. That's the illusion that Neptune is currently dissolving in its retrograde cycle. Of the non-linear energy of Pisces, right? The capacity of miracles for everyone from source, right? It is there. We're working through denser frequencies that are blocking our capacity to embody that and therefore experience it. So Pluto is helping reorientate our rooted power, our deep-rooted power and magnetism to the reality of magic and abundance and how it is there for everybody, and really reorientating our consciousness in that way that's in alignment with our soul's path and our future thinking independent energy of Uranus over in Taurus. And so they're harmonious aspects of trines and sextiles, which are ruled by Jupiter and Venus. So it's all about wisdom and connection, love, elevation, appreciation, and harmony and creativity and opportunities and experiences. It's very free-flowing energy. And they're all in yin signs. So it's this cultivation of a deep foundation within us, this observant energy, this nurturing and nourishing and cultivating energy, the bed of creation, that is then, they are all going to move into yang signs next year. They'll all be in yang signs by next year with Saturn. Lol, I'm going to do like a proper in-depth breakdown of this in a video, because it's cool. It's so wild. So we are being... there's all this surrender and there's all this faith and trust that's around. The word trust has been so loud in my head for the last year, and that we're just allowing things to unfold with all of this, right? This recalibration, because they're the outer planets, they are linked into the collective consciousness, right? Archetypal energies, and this is all shifting in such a beautiful way that is then allowing us, when they all move into yang signs, to then take action from it. So that energy is all locked into this full moon with Uranus and Algol of releasing those limiting beliefs. In the head. They're just sort of hitting my head now. And Ceres is with Pluto. And Ceres represents the great grain mother, the earth mother, the harvest, abundance, the bounty coming in, nutrients and nurturing, nourishment, right? Caretaking. And in the lead up to this moon, you might have felt the opposite of that. You may have felt a little bit the fear, because Pluto brings up fear, because it wants to highlight where we need to be neutral, right? Because Pluto's about the cycles of life, death and rebirth. And if we're in fear of any of those aspects, those get really loud, which is why we get power, distorted power dynamics, obsession and possession with Pluto, because it's just letting us know, hey, not that. It's calling us to make peace. So it brings up those fears with series of like, do you have the resources? Are you safe? Are you abundant? Is there nourishment in my life? All of those things. But this full moon was bringing all of that up in order to release it. Right, so Capricorn, obviously, your sign, my loves, and so you're having this final boost here in the sense of self, and it's trining the moon. So there's this deep embodiment of nourishment within you, right, and your capacity through your actions, your deeds, to bring nourishment in the way that you move through the world from a very powerful in a magnetic way that is elevating your capacity to create. Right, and the space in which you can create in. And then Neptune is in your third house. And this is it's one of my favorite houses. I think it's a really good house to focus on, to try and integrate the work that you're doing, because it's the house of the goddess. It's where we bring our big picture philosophies from the ninth house into our day-to-day. Like, how do we find meaning in the normal things like brushing your teeth and doing the washing up, right? All of those sort of things that we think are inconsequential but actually have a deep resonance. And the more that we find the joy, the meaning, the respect and honor within those things, right, the more that ripples out into the bigger things, because we're operating from a small scale that then magnifies the big scale. The small is the big and the big is the small. So the third house is your day-to-day, the things you do on a day-to-day basis. It's your local community. It is the environmental frequency. It's the lens in which you communicate through. So you've got that very Piscean energy of the sort of the great mystic in the way that you communicate, the sort of the undulating, compassionate, empathetic energy of Pisces. And so Neptune is really with this combination. So you've got hopes and dreams, friends, groups and alliances, reaping the benefits from the 10th house sun. You've got creation energy, your joy, your pleasure, your amusement, games, children, literal, figurative, romance, love, all forming this cradle with your sense of self and how you embody meaning in the day-to-day and how you communicate, and how you sort of like find a deeper resonance in your existence. All forming a cradle in which we're being birthed out of, so you are able to step more into your power and build from a place of creativity. Now, Venus rules Taurus. So where's Venus? Well, she's in your sign as well, Capricorn. Venus in the first, feeling good about yourself. You just got a bit of a glow about yourself at the moment with Venus moving through there. You're feeling more at ease in your body and how you take action. You're reflecting on how you're seen and just wanting to feel good, right? Venus in the first is also a deep honoring of the love of self. Right, sometimes it can be too much fixated on the self and can ignore everybody else. That's more of the unintegrated side of Venus in the first, but it is a journey of truly honoring and being in devotion and love and adoration of self. So a Venus through the first house transit can really help build for the next year a deeper level of resonance of love of self. So she's influencing this moon of like the power of this creation energy, this joy, this amusement is flowing directly from your inherent embodiment of your own self. And so Venus is really helping you channel that creation energy just through your very being, right? Remember, this is locked in for the next 6 months. You're going to have this resonance in regards to how you take. So I would recommend, in terms of like that creation energy, of just do what you feel instinctively drawn to do through your actions. It's not really about anybody else. But not in a way that's exclusionary or adversive of it. It's just there's you like really tap into what your body is telling you, like with that first house and Taurus energy, which is the physical senses of the body, is really going to amplify your ability to harness your creation energy. Now, Venus is in your sign, Capricorn, and you are ruled by Saturn. So we've got to go and look to where Saturn is. And Saturn's over with Neptune in Pisces and is direct. So everything you've been working on over the summer, the internal integration of your own authority, your own what is limitations, what is restrictions, what is difficulties, what is duty, what is responsibility, what is integrity, what is commitment, what is legacy. We've been cultivating. What does this mean? How do we want to do it? How do we want to work through it? And that's in the way that you communicate and in the way that you find meaning in your day-to-day, right? And learn, the sense of really cultivating your inner authority, and now it's gone direct. So this is all, you've got a forward momentum now of the sense of command in the way that you express yourself, the sense of integrity in the way that you move through your day to day, and the respect that you have for that. And so this moon was happening either on a Friday or a Saturday, depending on what side of the planet you lived on. And Friday is Venus's day and Saturn is Saturday's day. So there's a double looping over of this intermingling of the Saturnian and Venusian energy of like a heightened level of maturity around relationship dynamics, around desire, around love, and then working together. It's not about not having fun. It's just simply, there's awareness of how can I do this in a way that I'm having the best time, but I'm also feeling incredibly nourished at the same time. And so Saturn and Venus working together are really facilitating that frequency. Now Saturn is in Pisces, which is traditionally ruled by Jupiter, and Jupiter is over in Gemini, in your 6th house of work, how you work, physical health, routines, co-workers, and therefore collaboration and co-creation, pets, therefore acts of service and duty. It is the adult in the room. Jupiter in Gemini. I'm so here for it. If you haven't caught the Jupiter in Gemini transit series, I do recommend, because it happens once every 12 years when it moves through a house. So that energy is still very live and very relevant. So Jupiter's influencing Saturn and therefore influencing Venus and therefore influencing the moon. But it's in the sign of Gemini. And who rules Gemini? Well, that's Mercury. And where is Mercury? In the sign of Sagittarius, ruled by Jupiter. So even though this is a Taurus moon, a Venusian moon, it is actually, and as well as the Saturnian stuff, it's actually all, and the Capricorn energy, it's actually all being governed by Jupiter and Mercury. And this ties into a chance encounter I had. I was at an art exhibition on the eve of the full moon, and bumped into somebody, and we had a very instant connection, and we got chatting, and they were a Sagittarius rising and Gemini sun. So they had strong Gemini energy, strong Sagittarius energy, and it was all just very in alignment to let you know, sort of like this, the whole energy transfer thing is legit. That Mercury in Sagittarius, Jupiter in Gemini, again, in the collective tarot, it was mostly swords. One, linking back to that Algol, Uranus, releasing of limiting beliefs in the head to help us embody in the 3D world that we're safe, right? Recalibrating the nervous system. And then the Jupiter Gemini energy. Obviously, Jupiter is often about faith, of truth, of knowing, of wisdom. And Mercury, the details, the information, the flow, how we communicate, how we perceive, how we engage with it. They were working together because they're in mutual reception when they're in each other's realms. They're basically psychically hotlining each other. They're facilitating each other's journey. And they were influencing and governing this moon. So there's something around the elevation of a deeper perspective around how to work. So all this creation energy is being pulled into, so you, as I said, 6th house of work, how you figure things out, bringing creative energy into that, a deeper wisdom around that, of how you work with others and how you look after yourself, right? But coming from more of a place of joy, a place of like fun and play energy, and really infusing it into there, as well as that Mercury over in Sagittarius, which is the 12th house, and that is the hidden house, the house of mysteries, things going on behind the scenes, the unconscious realms. And in those unconscious realms, we can have trauma responses and limiting beliefs. This is where we get anxiety and depression show up, grief, loss, isolation, all of that good stuff. But underneath all of that is the magic of your soul, is that Sagittarius energy, right? So that very sort of duty-bound Capricorn, serious energy is actually powered by Sagittarius. Play hard or work hard. So Mercury moving through the 12th, big fan of that, is the downloads that you're getting around. It can lead to hyper anxiety, hyper depression, hyper worry, hyper focus on all of that, in order for you to bring it all to the surface and figure out a way beyond it, right? But also Mercury in the 12th is Because as I said, underneath all of that is the magic of your soul. It's a very magical house. It's a very powerful house of getting a lot of downloads around limiting beliefs and unconscious responses that have blocked your creativity, blocked your the way that you engage with pleasure and joy, children, romance, dating, all of those kind of things that have not worked. That there's a compulsion around it, but it's just based on old trauma responses that they don't work. Like the 6th house where Jupiter is, you want to understand how you work and how you figure things out, because then you know how to work with other people and how to facilitate that. And that means you then have really like good relationship dynamics, and that's not just romance, that's with your co-workers, that's with your friends. So figuring out that 6th house is so utterly crucial to having healthy relationships in your life. And the fact that it's being infused with that, with the downloads and the wisdom coming through from your higher self to elevate a deeper knowing. And I can see this as one, healthier relationships with in romantic partners, healthier relationships with love, with children, with your creation energy, with your pleasure, and as well as infusing the magic of your soul and your creation energy in the way that you work, in the way that you take care of yourself. Now, okay, this is going to be a long one. We're at 35 minutes. I haven't even done the tarot, but I'm here for it. So we want to look to where Venus is and what she's doing. And she's square the nodes. So she's bringing in this nodal axis of Aries and Libra into her moon. Now, squares can bring about conflict, drama, and frustration because it brings about tension and friction. But it's all about building, really, like the flip side of once you kind of get over the whole conflict vibe. Because it's squares ruled by Mars. Mars is all about your motivation, your drive, the get up and go build, go do the thing, go do the damn thing. And so Venus is squaring the nodes in Aries and Libra, which for you is in your 4th and your 10th, right? Your home, your roots, your foundations, both literal and figurative, ancestors, parental figures, roof over your head, your inner world kind of energy. And Libra, that's your 10th house, your life purpose, your career, your visibility, your reputation. Venus is squaring them. So she's reorientating your sense of self in alignment with that longer term trajectory of the nodes and getting you to feel good about yourself in the way that you're moving forward with your home and with your career. And again, this is sort of elevating like a lot of stagnant energy in that fixed, like Taurus can be very stubborn. All fixed signs are stubborn. I say that as someone who's, most of my chart is fixed. Thank goodness for my Virgo moon. But Taurus is the most stubbornest of stubbornists. That there can be some real stuck energy in the physical body, right? So your physical senses thinking you're in a trauma space, thinking you're dissatisfied when you're not. When you're not, you've actually cleared the decks. And this is a big clearing of the decks, full moon. There's all this creativity, this joy, this pleasure, all in alignment with your home and your career, or your life purpose and your roots. Now Mars is over in Leo, and Mars rules Scorpio and rules the sun. And the sun is in Scorpio and the sun rules Leo. So we have another mutual reception going on, which is cool as hell, right? So Leo for you is about relationship dynamics. It's about the resources of the outside world. It's the exchange between you and anything other than yourself, right? And we can have scarcity, we can have codependency. It's a very psychic house. Your psychic energy is fire, by the way. So like your magic, like your strongest magical energy is fire. And so it's very instinctive. And so Mars is going to retrograde in Leo. It's going to go back into Cancer, and we're going to have a long trip with that. And I'm going to do the Mars retrograde soon. But it's energetically squaring the sun, not by degree, because Mars is right at the beginning of Leo and the sun is right at the end of Scorpio. But there's this sense of building your vision, like your hopes and your dreams from the heart. And there's more motivation to, like, you're drawing towards you healthier relationship dynamics and healthier resources that serve the truth of your hopes and dreams, rather than perhaps, say, getting a loan from someone and you're desperate for it, but this loan isn't, the energy around it just isn't cool, but there's sort of like a need for it. instead of doing that, like this Mars Scorpio energy is like, no, hold the line. Something like, have trust. What needs to come through will come through. Mars in the 8th. You just find yourself more intuitively aligned with the resources of Source as well, because it's your relationship with Source. So there's a real sense of fluidity in your motivation and drive and action connected to Source. Very heart orientated. And so there's a sense of the actions that are going on in your life, the actions that you're taking are facilitating your hopes and dreams, and the downloads that you're getting, perhaps the conversations you're having, or the illuminations or the downloads you get from a group when you're hanging out with a group or something, are going to lead to follow-up actions that are going to serve implementing and putting that all into flow. And that's all forming with the 5th house of your joy and feeling good in the world. So this is a big old powerhouse of a moon. Now let's get into the tarot. I think this is going to be the longest video I've done in quite some time, Capricorn. So what's being released? We have the 3 of Wands and the Queen of Swords. So the 3 of Wands in reverse with the Queen of Swords, this is what's being closed out. Right, and so there is this sense of the 3 of Wands in the upright knows it's doing the best that it can in any given moment, knows it's in a good advantage point and is embarking on a new journey, and isn't like worrying about, well, how it's going to turn out, because it genuinely does know. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out because I'm in a new setup of how to get it so I'm not constantly shaking these tarot cards. That this figure is Sun in Aries, the 3 of Wands. Like, they just know that they're going to do the thing that they need to do. They're not micromanaging, they're not planning, they're not worrying about how everything's going to unfold. So this is in reverse. So this is the opposite of that. So this sense of not knowing that you're in the right place, of not knowing whether you're doing the right thing, of this genuine sense of uncertainty around how you're unfolding in your own existence. And that Queen of Swords, I feel, has been helping you through this journey, right, of cultivating like, she's been through some difficult times, but her head is now above the clouds. In the Sword Court cards, they've all got birds, and she only has one, but it's on her crown chakra. So she's been receiving a lot of downloads and a lot of wisdom. This higher frequency of awareness of what this is about, but still like cultivating the new perspective and really being open to receive. So this is what's being closed out with this cycle of this block of knowing that you are in fact this, and a cultivating of the perspective, like of really being very open to a new perspective around what's going on, but it's just taken some time to get to that space. And so if we link that into sort of your creation energy, your fun, your love, your amusement, your play, right? So maybe there's been some just sort of nervousness around how that's unfolding, the slowness in which that's unfolding, and second guessing perhaps the decisions you may have made, or frustrations of thinking that there may be other things going on in your life that have blocked this joy and creation energy. That did you, as I said, like with the bigger picture of the chart, did you maybe focusing too much on work, or just generally just feeling like there's been a dampener there that we haven't quite seen it all come into place yet. There's a lack of trust that is being released now. So what is being activated? Interesting. No, what's being integrated? We have the 7 of Pentacles in reverse and the 2 of Pentacles in reverse. Now, so this is really representing the shadow work and the other side of the 7 of Pentacles is planting those seeds and tending to them, but there can be a bit of a frustration. I'm talking about in the upright. There can be a bit of a frustration of things not manifesting, things not accumulating, and I had no idea that that card was there, of the that doubt that I was talking about. And the Two of Pentacles in the upright for me is very much hamster on the wheel, like you're just going round and round the wheel and you're not really having the time to thrive. And both of these cards are coming in reverse, so the opposite of that is what's being integrated, right? It's saying this is you're stepping into a space where this has been done, and you're no longer in that hamster wheel and in that state of frustration. Like very, that feels like a very inner grounded integration of experiences that you've been going through, that you realize the purpose behind why the things may have happened that they've happened, that is cutting out the restlessness and the feeling that you're trapped and that you're just on the wheel, right? There's more agency coming in. So that's what's being integrated, is no longer feeling this trappedness. And that's so relevant for the fifth house. Right, because that in the upright, it is like, I've just got to survive, just got to keep going to survive, just keep going to survive. Well, we can't find the pleasure, we can't find the joy and the creation energy, because it's that survival mechanism that's so overriding. And to have that come in the reverse for this very liberating fifth house of, like, you know, the integration of the opposite of that illusion. Okay. What is being activated? Ooh. We have the Two of Wands and the Queen of Pentacles. So this is this is nice. This feels nice. This feels really, really nice. This feels like a very strong... So this is the energy that's being activated that you're working with over the next 6 months. This figure is like standing on a castle. They're in a really good position. They have a high perspective. They are getting the lay of the land. This is about long-term manifestation. So this is saying that you are now in this new territory, right? The beyond this, right? And beyond this in the upright. And now this is the integration process, especially with this Queen of Pentacles. And I'm really here for this. That this is about, like, getting used to the new reality and working with it and figuring it out and really cultivating a stronger connection to it. Because this figure is a little restless. It's got the world in its hand. It wants to go off on the adventure of the Three of Wands, right? But it knows that what's best is to really spend some time in a state of integration and of observance of this new reality, right? It's fire energy, so it's these instinctive responses. So there may be something about knowing that you are in a place of safety, right? And taking and watching what your instinctive responses are doing and observing it. But it's such a lovely, strong foundation that you're kicking off on with this full moon, that is taking you into a new world. Especially with that Queen of Pentacles. You know, this is one of the Capricorn cards as well, and she is all about, you've got two queens here, so there's a real sense of that cultivation energy of really bringing nuance and depth to your understanding of your capacity to cultivate abundance, right? Of fertility, right? Of pleasure, of joy, right? There's a real sense of nurturing that energy. Not surprised with Ceres and Pluto over in your first house, of like really through your actions and your instincts, you're going to be building this level of cultivation that's a really strong foundation for then building more permanently further down the line. But we're getting used to what the new tools are in this shift, right? So we've shifted paradigms, but now we're in this new landscape and we're just trying to figure out what all the tools are, and that's what the process we're going through at the moment. And my third eye is throbbing as I say that. What's at the bottom of the deck? So I did another card after the cards for Uranus and Saturn. We have the Nine of Swords in reverse, right? So this is the opposite of Taurus. So Taurus wants us to slow down, smell the roses. And that's what we need to do when we're in this heightened state of anxiety, of regret or fear, worry about the past, and fear about the future means we are not present. We are not in our body. We're stuck in our mind, stuck in our heads, right? And I love that this is shown up in reverse of what's being sort of reorientated for you. So how to work and amplify this deeply cultivating energy. Oh, I like this vibe, Capricorn. So we have the Hermit, we've got Virgo energy, and the Page of Pentacles. And this is saying kind of what I've already said of this deep inner wisdom, right? You have Virgo in your 9th house of your perspectives, how you map yourself out in the world, right? Your morals, your ethics, your philosophies. It's about learning, higher learning, and sharing information. And so there's a real sense of recalibration with this in around joy and pleasure and your creation energy, to lock it into your perspectives, right? To do the inner work, to go inward and really understand what your frequency is telling you, the truth of your frequency is telling you, and listen to it, right? And then cultivate that internally within yourself and find new ways of putting it into practice. Page of Pentacles, pages, they've just got into the court, they're so excited, they want to talk to everyone, they want to learn all the things. This is new ways of communicating, new adventures, new opportunities, new ways of engaging with the 3D world from a place of creativity based on your internal frequency, right? The Hermit's not bothered about what society thinks of it. And this is jogging my memory. So when I came away from the collective reading, the energies that I channel were like, yep, you got everything except the fact that there are going to be, and this may not be for everybody, so as always, take what resonates, leave what doesn't. There's going to be some real big activations in the strangeness of things, right? So I channel, I move through my body, and I do vocal light language, and it's weird. Based on the normal society, it is deemed as very weird. It's getting less and less weird, but it's still weird. And so I've had lots of encounters, lots of conversations with people who've also been activated, and, you know, the struggle of, you know, of maybe not being able to talk to your family about it, or maybe some of your friends are like, you're a weirdo, I don't want to talk to you anymore, and feeling like you're mad, you're going to be locked up in a loony bin. It's definitely been something that I've had to work with over the last nearly 4 years, as my rest of my life. But anyway, that they were saying that there are going to be some big activations for people. We're all channelers, we're all intuitives, by the way, we're all very magical beings, we just do it in our own different ways. That there are going to be some bigger activations that are going to lead to bringing this to bigger groups or environments and situations that we may not have walked into with it. But we're very protected, and we've got the support, and we've got a lot of protection around those things. Obviously, always go with what's right for you, and never go into a situation that may be dangerous. That's not what they're wanting to do. It's, you'll know when it feels aligned. If there's resistance, don't push. But they did say, like, this is Taurus, right, with Uranus, of like the physical vessel being able to hold more space for the this expansion of our consciousness, which is allowing more downloads and energies to come through where we may not have been able to process them properly before. So that's happening. So it's making me think of that Hermit that isn't really bothered about what society thinks. It's going to do what it needs to do because it trusts within its own self. So this is saying trust in yourself and cultivate your inner frequency around your creation energy and your joy. So what's Uranus up to? In the sign of Taurus, we have the 5 of Wands in reverse and another Queen. So you've got 3 out of the 4 Queens showing up for you, Capricorn. And this is a real lovely, cultivating, nurturing energy that's coming through, like this balm, right, of really giving you a very strong foundation as you move forwards, right? There's a lot of support here. So that 5 of Wands is kind of like hyper distraction. Got all the plans, and none of them are getting finished. It's conflict, but it's not like the 5 of Swords. It's kind of like play fighting, training, but it is a kind of, there's movement, but there's no momentum. There's frustration with the 5 of Wands. I saw a meme a long time ago that had a stupid tent underneath it, Don't know if anybody's put up an old school tent, but oh, very much that vibe of like the chaotic energy. It's in reverse. So where there may have just been things going in every different direction, or certain frustrations, and or just like that low level conflict of things not feeling seen, and not feeling like there's reciprocity in terms of creation energy, joy, pleasure, dating, children, whatever it is, right? This can be your inner child in the upright who's constantly looking for distractions because they can't settle, because that was your life growing up as a kid. Or if there was like low level conflict in certain parental homes, right? This is being released. Uranus is liberating that and bringing in the Queen of Cups. Now, the Queen of Cups is so serene. She is turning into her environment, but she can see into the future. She can see far and wide. She's not in a fear state. Deeply nourishing, deeply loving, tending to your emotional body, a balm, a glorious balm, a heightening of your water body, your emotions, your intuition, of knowing. And this ties into all of this, of what's unfolding. You're safe. Right? You've got to trust the process, allow yourself time to process and integrate and care for yourself without the worry and the fear. Definitely can see more flow coming through with the way that you create and the way that you find pleasure that is more nourishing to your emotional body. What is Saturn up to? We have over in the sign of Pisces, and we have a Pisces card, the Page of Cups. We have, and obviously Saturn's your ruler, so whatever's going on with Saturn is always influencing how you embody yourself. We have the Nine of Wands in reverse and the Page of Cups. So the Nine of Wands in the upright is exhausted, burnt out, always on the defensive, always being attacked, all by yourself, the lone wolf, right? Who's still standing, but they're not feeling great, but they're still standing. And with this card, I always feel like there's usually very good reasons why you've had to be on the defensive, but do you have to be anymore? Are you really alone? Are you really do you really not have the support? Are there other ways of reorientating this sense, right? Anyway, Saturn going direct has pulled that away. So you may have felt a lot of this with Saturn being direct, of like, I'm having to do all the things. I can't have fun. I can't feel in my body. I can't feel this creative energy and this joy. This may be about also relationships, like with romance and dating, in terms of like, for whatever reason, and going along with that Five of Wands, of the way that you communicate, the way that you interact on day to day, that you're doing all the things, that it doesn't matter what you do. There's always some kind of resistance and people are coming at you for various reasons. This could be like battles with kids, right? Of feeling like you're doing all the work. Itiala on the day to day, right? That you're just having to fight for the way that you find meaning in the day to day, and the way how that translates when you interact with others. But it's in reverse. So we're no longer feeling this sense of resistance. We're no longer feeling this solidarity that is diminishing the energy, right? Because you can be by yourself and it'd be very nourishing. This is not that. This is not the hermit. In fact, this figure needs to go and hang out with the hermit and just chill for a bit. But it's in reverse. So Saturn is pulled down this boundary around you, this wall around you of feeling like you need to be in this space, and this is leaving. And we've got the Page of Cups that's coming with it, and the Page of Cups is the happiest page. It's talking to a fish in a cup, and that fish is talking back, and it's totally cool with it, right? So this is a heightened level of curiosity and imagination and creativity and magic in the way that you communicate, and it's coming from a deep place of love and like this curiosity and this openness. All right, so this is I love this for the meaning that you're finding in the day-to-day, more synchronistic opportunities, more downloads, more messages, as well as just feeling more in a flow state and feeling more open to your experiences that are going on around you, and communicating in a way that is coming from a place of love rather than this like deep-rooted sense of you got to protect yourself. They're hitting my heart space. And then now they've put that energy into the heart chakra. And up to the throat. Obviously Taurus rules the throat, so there's been some big stuff around throat clearing. Right, oracle cards. What have you got? First up. All the decks, by the way, are in the description box, if any of them take your fancy. This is from the Shaman's Dream Oracle, and we have a Drifter, experiencing life as it comes. Oh, that already connects to what's come through here. Rather than, you know, the sort of the being on the wheel, right? And not trusting yourself. The worry, will things grow? Have I done the right thing? Have I done enough? Have I built enough? Have I cultivated enough? That Nine of Swords in reverse. What lights you up? That's funny with the Hermit, with the star that's light guiding his way. And that's the Aquarius energy. Which is how you value yourself, your skills and your tools to manifest and bring in regular income. Pluto's moving in there. What lights you up? Experiencing life as it comes, seeking the essence but not knowing the form. The Drifter invites you to step out of your to-do list and your ordinary routine, to feel the breeze against your skin, calling you to follow the wind and explore life's opportunities. When the Drifter appears, it's a sign that it's time to cut the mooring lines, holding you to the dock. It's not important to know the destination before you set sail. Let it go. Oh my God, that's so on. Oh, it makes me so happy when that happens. Because then I feel like I'm not mad. It's not important to know the destination before you set sail. It will become clear as you leave port. Do not wait for a map, as there is none to where you are destined to go. But be sure that you have a compass to keep you true. Yours is a pure love and your intention to be free, even of your own beliefs and preconceptions. Few appreciate the energy of the Drifter. Here you might not seem to be doing anything worthwhile or meeting someone else's expectations, but you are the only one who understands that others are running full out on the hamster wheel, shut the front door on the way out, and getting nowhere. Your laziness is an unappreciated virtue. You know that life will find you and bring you everything you require without your having to search for it, by simply being instead of frantically doing. By simply being instead of frantically doing. Even as you let your mind wander, releasing it to go on a daily walkabout, call it back home regularly to deliver news. Lol, from the cosmos. The Drifter helps you find what you are looking for, even when you didn't think you were seeking anything. Right, what's at the bottom of the deck? We have repairing the veil, forgiveness. Oh, the third eye's throbbing again. Forgiveness, making amends, recognition of our unity. Between all of us is a thin veil, appearing to be a space that separates us. We look through this veil and believe ourselves to be distinct from each other. We assume that our thoughts and feelings are our own. We see bodies and objects and the spaces between them, so we engage the world in relationships between a duality of us and them. This veil serves as a mysterious illusion, making it so hard to believe in our inherent connection and unity. We can't always remember that what we do to someone else, we at the same time do to ourselves. When we claw at the veil out of fear, anger, jealousy, or resentment, manipulate another, misuse our power, or allow someone's actions to diminish us, we create a wound felt by many, not just those of us in the smaller, direct relationship. Now is the time to examine where your actions have caused difficulty or harm to someone else, and also where you have been the recipient of harm. Regardless of what side you are on, it's important to take responsibility for healing this rift by bringing love, compassion, deep listening, and presence to whatever is not in harmony. Do this for you and for your own liberty, as you become an unwitting hostage once you take the role of perpetrator or victim, both positions of weakness. This feels like the Pluto energy in your first house, right? Because that can have you be a bit power hungry, right? Amongst other things. And what Pluto's doing is reorientating, because it was opposite Mars in Cancer for the last couple of transits, is reorientating our understanding of conflict and our re-understanding of power, right? And Pluto, I think I said at the beginning, highlights distortions, like of obsession, of power, of all of this, of possession, because it wants us to be neutral. It wants us to realize that coming from a state of neutrality and seeing what comes from that space is our natural frequency. So both whether you feel the victim or the perpetrator, both of those are extremes that need to come back into a state of neutrality and a state of healing. Let go of all your resentments. Know your part in the dynamic and make the appropriate amends with the newfound wisdom and understanding. Healing, forgiveness, and mending what is broken in your world is a sweet, much needed declaration of freedom. And I also feel like that's the Mercury-Jupiter energy of wounds in those unconscious spaces, right? Of finding a deeper resonance of wisdom, Jupiter in the first, of things that may have blocked you from being in the adult in the room. So this may link into parental structures, ancestors that have caused this fraction, right, to come up, that's allowing a deeper healing, that's then feeding and creating that space for your frequency to come through in the creation energy. So you got an extra bonus card from this one's shown up for nearly everybody. Let's do this one first. So this has been quite a repeat card. This is from Rainbow Brainskull, and it's my latest Oracle deck. It was an early Christmas present, and it arrived in time for the Scorpio transit, which is hilarious because look, hello, the death card. So this one has shown up for nearly all the signs. Who cares if we become nothing? We were all once nothing. You are currently borrowing atoms from the earth, and it didn't cost a thing. This life is all betting with house money. Try not to take it all so seriously. So again, this is clearing out of the limiting belief there where we may have guilt and shame and fear around abundance, around creation, around pleasure, around joy, especially given everything that's going on in the world, right? That we're all betting with house money. So step up and play and enjoy, and also let go of the seriousness of it, of the weight of responsibility. And obviously Capricorn, that can often feel like a heavy weight because you are ruled by Saturn, who is all about responsibility. And now going direct in Pisces is kind of dissolving that limitation and allowing you to be more free in your flow, right? In that Piscean energy, in the way that you're moving through the world, of like, there's a lightness there. And again, it's like letting go of those old, and it's interesting, it nearly landed on here, those old dynamics of resentment and pain over situations that may have happened, what people may or may not have done, what you may or may not have done, and just really just allowing a deeper peace to come in. Too many ideas, same as no idea. There are only so many hours in a day. Choose one thing to focus on. You'll find that it's more enjoyable to point your energy in a single direction rather than aimlessly scattering it all over. So that's kind of tied in with that 5 of Wands in reverse, of like having more focal, more instinctive, embodied direction when it comes to your creativity. What's at the bottom of the deck? What have we got? Number 55. The anima itofeliana. Yes, hi. I'd like for everything to stay the same. Imagine how archaic things would be if the paradigm never shifted. Sometimes stuff needs to move around. It may appear worse at first, but when the dust settles, you will be grateful for this new configuration. I mean, that's just summed up the whole reading. Look at that. You're coming out of a tornado, Capricorn, more embodied in yourself, more aware of the resonance of joy and creativity in your life, allowing yourself to let go of the worry of how things are unfolding and float downstream in your downloads of creation. Right, Capricorn, I'm going to leave it there. I hope you enjoyed this reading. I hope it resonated. I certainly enjoyed reading for you. As always, it's an honor and a privilege to do so. If you want a personal reading, if you want to deep dive a bit further into this or anything else, my details are everywhere. Be good to yourselves, Capricorn. Be good to those around you. Safe travels and be well until we meet again.